I am overly concerned about the story about the stoves, about the ban on the gas stoves, because I believe there's more to it. And the more to it makes us not want to wear these kind of hats, maybe put on a tinfoil style hat. So let's jump into it, hopefully gaining some wisdom to see what is actually going on in the story and what's the plans of this administration and what really do they mean about banning gas stoves. Let's jump into it. It's going to be a good video today, and it starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. If you're new to the Max, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, even a comment. Tell us what you think about the content that you are seeing on this video today. Also remember, we're doing a monster giveaway, 200,000 subscriber giveaway. We have thousands of dollars worth of prizes that are absolutely free to you. It doesn't take anything, no extra signups, just push subscribe. Then we're gonna do a live the night of 200,000 and give away tons of things. Gift certificates to Harvest Right, solar generators and battery banks, coffee, ammo cans, just so much, seed banks, tons of things that will help you get on the road to sustainability, prepping, and homesteading. So subscribe so you'll be signed up for that, and onward to the video. Because you're a concerned citizen, you have probably heard of the Biden administration's thought about banning gas stoves. One of the stories says, millions of Americans may soon be entering a non-stove season. The Biden administration is considering a nationwide ban, citing harmful pollutants released by the appliances. That's what I think it's kind of unique. They say some recent studies showed emissions that could cause health problems and respiratory issues in some individuals and some children. Now that's the story. You're starting to hear now in the political aisles, of course, that the left-leaning politicians are pushing, saying, well, you know, this could cause major brain issues. We need to do more research. So the cleanest fuel that I think America produces is natural gas. So if we can target natural gas, then that might help us target some of the other oils and petroleums and fossil fuels. Just a thought. Now, if they're targeting natural gas, they're targeting you. And over 35% of households use natural gas to cook. So they're targeting your food. Now think about that. Of those same houses, that's how they heat their home. So if they're going after your stove because of emissions, are they gonna go after your heat? Food, energy. Something to think about. And the two solutions they're giving you, they're gonna ban it, which means they have more power than you do, even in your home. As a concerned, freedom-loving citizen, I don't believe that's the right of the government to be able to ban something that we've been using for years. Here we are, we have research showing that TikTok is bad for our kids and that China is learning tons about our children through it. It's a safety concern. We have governments buying our farmlands. We have oligarchs buying our farmlands. But the government is worried more about the stove that's in your home, because of recent studies show some people could be affected. Well, I mean, McDonald's hamburger can kill some people because of all the issues they may be having. So when we hear these studies, the question is, do we trust them? And then what is the manipulation, or what is the thought pattern behind it? Now, think about this. If they have the right to say, okay, you can't have those in your home, could they do that with firearms? Because it's dangerous. Could they do it with certain foods? Could they do it with cows? Because cows cause issues with climate. You see that overreach? You see how they throw something out like this that makes you say, oh my gosh, who would allow them to ban stoves? It's so far-fetched. But is it really? Because they're already doing it in a lot of other facets in our life. So if they throw something way out there and they're shooting for a Hail Mary in the end zone, all the while they're getting those first downs to get it closer to the end zone. Now think about that. While they're tossing this big path and your eyes are all focused down there, they may be dabbling in something a little bit smaller to push it closer to that goal line. Put your tinfoil hats on for this one. If that's the case, and all of a sudden they ban natural gas out of your home, your heat and your cooking will be affected by that. Now, what would be the answer at that point? Well, for some people like us, we live in an area where we can burn wood fire stoves and we can burn our chimneys. But for the majority of individuals that live in maybe urban areas or city areas or suburban areas, you may not have a chimney. You may have a natural gas log. So therefore heat, we got to figure that out. It's gonna cost you a lot more to either fix the emissions issues, because government needs you to fix that, or we're gonna take it out and you're gonna have to go to the electric grid. Boy, the electric grid's doing well lately. We've seen it get attacked in several states. We've seen it go down because of winter storms. Well, if all of a sudden it gets extremely cold like we've seen with this polar vortex, and we have no other way to heat your home, which I have showed you other ways to independently heat, and you need to be investing in those just a few videos ago, by the way. But if all of a sudden they cut your heat, they cut the way you cook, what does that make you do? It makes you more dependent on a grid. Then all of a sudden, if it fails, what is the next step? Well, government will have to step in and help you. Oh, they're there to help you. Like we talked about in a video a few days ago. Sometimes they're there to help you, but at the same time, they're the ones that cause the problems that you needed help from. So you see, again, throwing that long pass to then play the short game. Focus on what's going on. Do you have your tinfoil hat on? I don't know. But you need to look past just this one initial story of, oh, we want to ban, gas stoves. Why do they want to ban gas stoves? Because of a recent study, which we've seen with recent studies, they haven't been too political, have they? I think so. I think we have a political narrative, and that, no, it doesn't matter if it's left or right, it's a political narrative that's been passed out. Think about this. This has nothing to do with this story, but we heard that the government was pushing to censor Tucker Carlson across social medias because he was pushing against narratives. So you see those stories, how now government's overreach, government's manipulation, government's power, it can really affect our lives. And now they're talking about entering your home. They're not just talking about firearms and ammo anymore. They're not just talking about, hey, let's clean up your diet. They're not talking about putting a mask on when you go outside. This is something in your home that will affect your everyday life. Control the food, control the energy, control the money. If all of a sudden they say, well, no, you can have a gas stove, but you've got to, you're not gonna get the tax credits and you're gonna have to pay emissions. Maybe you have to have some kind of detector in there that's all of a sudden new. Maybe you have to put all these emissions controls on your stove. Well, we see what emissions controls have done to diesel engines and to a lot of things that we use. It's made everything go up in price, and it tears up, and then all of a sudden you have to buy another one, which you can't afford. Think of diesel. Diesel engines back in the day, they said they were terrible, they caused issues with the climate, bad for the environment. However, a lot of those things like the 40s and 50s and 60s tractors and all those things are still going, like our old farm truck. It's got an old simple engine in it, it's got a huge exhaust on it, and it's still working to this day. However, me and another guy can go under that tree over there and fix it. But the more emissions, the more government is put into the equation, the more we can't fix that simple automobile. The emissions issues with diesel. Those diesel engines are so computerized. Now, if we're doing the same thing with maybe stoves now because of the emissions, is it going to get better? The last thing I want to talk about that chaps me probably more than anything is the fact that what do? They use scare tactics. They use fear. Did you hear that? Some studies that are recent show that it could affect your brain. It could affect your respiratory. It could affect your kids. Boy, they're using that playbook from a few years ago, aren't they? So you have two lines of reactivity to that. One, you're on the side of, oh my gosh, nail biter, let's just get rid of our stove and let's go back on the grid and depend fully on what the government is telling us, because that is smart. It's what we did 2 years ago, and it's helped us ever since. That's one line of thinking, which that means you're not thinking for yourself, you fool. You're allowing someone to think for you. Second line is, well, I have to not trust the government because I have all of a sudden felt like they have been manipulating us the whole time. So you're so far off this way that you trust nothing the government tells you, and if there is danger to it, you're not even worried about it because you believe there's lies. Sadly, both are wrong. We need to build a true, wise thought pattern. And if there's bad players and there's bad issues and there's bad problems with these stoves or with emissions or with issues that are causing cancer, we need to know about it. We need to do our own research. However, we need to have the freedom to say, I can vote, I can put anything and everything in my body that I want to, I can eat what I want, do what I want, and I still have the rights that you haven't taken from me. So if I'm responsible enough to do a lot of those things and raise families and go to work and make money, if I'm responsible enough to do those things, I shouldn't need you to baby me. At the same time, I need to be smart enough to do my own research too. So I challenge you, do some wisdom building. Is it a climate change issue? Is it a health issue? Is it a fight for fossil fuels to be pushed out of our life? Is it a fight to be more tied to the grid, where we're more dependent on the grid? That's been really good and really helpful lately. Those are some serious things to think about. But remember, don't always look at what they're telling you, look at what they're doing. Don't always look at the far-fetched stories. Maybe look at what's really going on in front of you. And then that will help you build wisdom to say, I can trust this or not trust this. I can build knowledge so I can see what may be the truth underlying in this story. So guys, first and foremost, keep your gas stoves going. I would hope that if you had a gas stove, you may have a monoxide detector or some protections anyway. I would hope that. But remember, sometimes the things we've been doing is not bad. Sometimes we can be innovative and learn new ways. But build wisdom in deciding what's best for you and your family. Don't be influenced for one way or the other. Just like me, I don't want to influence you to a point where you make a decision. I want to influence you to go do your own research, do your own studying, and decide what's best for you and your family. I believe that fossil fuels are meant for us to utilize. Why would they be in the earth? I believe cows are meant to be utilized. Why do you think they're here? I don't believe they're here just to be pretty and look, and I enjoy looking at them. I don't believe the fossil fuels were here just because they were supposed to sit there for all of life, for all of time. I believe God gives us wisdom to use certain things, and if we use them right, if we raise these animals like they're supposed to, if we do the fossil fuels and can get them out clean, if we can have cheap energy for people who need cheap energy, there's benefits to that. Now, if there's bad players in the game, they need to go. But this gas stove story may be a lot more gassy than it should be. And I think there's a lot more to it if we just dive deep and see what are they really doing and what are they really trying to push with this gas stove ban. Are they coming in your home and manipulating certain things in your home? That's a slippery slope. What would be next? Think about it, guys. I know a lot of these stories sometimes can cause us stress and anxiety, but I do hope that you will have a good day, build wisdom, serve God, and love on people. Take care of your family, guys. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.